So Tyson, hi.
What's up, man?
So we were just talking about your workout. So tell me a little bit about this. So it's a 75-day challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying no drinking, a gallon of water every day, exercising how many times a day?
2 times. And one has to be outside.
One of the two have to be outside.
For 45 minutes.
So what are you doing? Like, what kind of exercise are you doing out there? Like running bleachers or just running outside would qualify?
It can be as simple as walking outside for 45 minutes.
Or like doing push-ups out on the grass, jumping jacks.
Yep.
And what's the idea behind that? Just to get outside,
So
like in case the weather's bad, like you still have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
So it's not even like a fitness challenge, which you get good results from it, but
yeah,
it's all mental. So like some nights I'd get home, it's 11 o'clock, I still haven't got my outside workout in. So
and you do it still?
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah. So snowing, raining, blizzard.
So how much? First of all, like, tell me the guy that came up with this.
So Andy Frisella.
Give him credit.
Yeah,
Andy Frisella.
Yeah.
And so he has a lot of people that are doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you come about it? Did somebody say, "Hey, this is you got to check this out," or you just come across it on the internet?
On his podcast, yeah.
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 So you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this,
yeah.
Dude. You've always been in shape, though. You've always been like lean. Super lean. So you didn't do it like,
I think
hey,
a lot of that's genetics, but
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. But what were you like? Hey, this is going to improve my golf game, or like what made you want to step into that arena?
No, I just figured that after listening to his podcast, and he talks about like how we all make excuses about everything, right?
Yeah.
And I was definitely that guy, making excuses about work or my fitness or my relationship. And it's like you spend 75 days doing it every day, whether you want to or not. It's pretty cool. It's life-changing.
Was it super hard at first?
Yeah.
Was there a time where it just like clicked for you, where it just became like a golf swing almost? Like you were just swinging, but it was just you'd worked on the mechanics of it so much that your brain just like fired?
Yeah, it's the first couple weeks is tough because you're trying to get into a rhythm and you're trying to get your schedule figured out.
Yeah.
But once you get going, it's like you're kind of in this groove and you just get it done.
Just plow through it, no problem.
Yeah.
And so you were doing it by yourself, like your wife wasn't doing it, or your fiance?
No.
So you were like on this island, dude, by yourself.
For sure. And it's tough because like all of our friends, they go out, go to dinner, have some drinks, whatever. And, I'd order the hamburger with no bun, side of broccoli, drink my water. But yeah, it's tough. So this time around, Taylor, my fiance, is doing it with me.
Nice.
Which she's killing it. So it's pretty cool.
Dude, the one thing that I believe in big time, like even with this podcast or anything I've been successful in, is like having that support circle. And I'm huge on this. Like if I've had people in the past, I remember when I was younger and I was partying really hard and I had a group of people that I was hanging out with, and I decided to like stop drinking, right? And like really cut back and really focus on my life and where I was going. And I remember like 9 out of 10 of them gave me a bunch of shit for it. Like, what are you doing, you freaking puss? Like, party with us and stuff. And then I had one that was like, dude, that's awesome. Right on, bro. Like fist bumps, support, would check in to see how that was going. Hey, like, don't listen to these other guys. And I was shocked by that. The fact that I thought all these people were my friends and had my back, but only 1 out of the 10 was there for me.
For sure.
So that made me realize at a young age, I think I was like 22 when that event happened. And I was like, man, it's so important to have your circle tight enough to where you don't have yes people, but you have people that are like, hey, Tyson or Justin, like if that's something you want to do, like let's freaking push you to that. Good for you. Like I'm not going to offer you a beer because I know you can't drink because you're on this strict thing right now.
Yeah.
I hate that shit, man.
It's
people
rough.
When people just like want to like, they don't have much going on for themselves. You know what I mean? So they just want to like kind of like almost tempt you with stuff and call you out like, oh, that's a bunch of BS, you know? It's like, dude.
And when you start
hate that.
when you start doing different things in life that doesn't really, fit the old mold of what you used to do, it's like, a lot of people don't like that, and they want you to kind of stay where you were at instead of like
they almost hate on you because you're changing.
Yeah.
They see a change in you and they're kind of like, what's this guy doing? Yeah, dude, I get that.
But the other side of the coin, like I was telling you earlier, is like people notice what you're doing, So it's like pretty soon people are asking you like, what are you doing? Like, what's this 75 hard thing, and
like, Tyson, you're looking good, bro. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and like Taylor's dad's doing 75 hard. He's doing really well, and so it's cool.
Dude, you're making me want to do this. I swear I've seen some stuff come across like my Facebook page with the 75 hard challenge. That's why it was like a public group, because it came across as like a public group type thing, and I've been seeing it come across. So it's funny that you kind of like are all about it and then bringing it into my life after I've already been seeing it. Dude, so tell me about so we were going to, for those watching and listening, Tyson and I were going to do a golf lesson. He was going to give me a golf lesson this morning, but we freaking live in Idaho and it snowed last night. And it is April, what is today, the 14th or 15th?
15th.
Holy piss, dude. Yeah. So like, my wife had bought me a season pass this year for my birthday, which is really cool. So I got out, played a little bit. I got sunburned one day, and then I had another tee time like 2 days later, and there was 4 inches of snow on the ground. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then it happened again. Let's see, when was that? Yeah, then it happened again. We got snow. I had a tee time, and I was going over to Pinecrest, and there was still snow scattered everywhere, Of course, we're not going to go play on there and tear up the course. I'm just like, you got to be shitting me, dude.
Spring in Idaho.
Spring in Idaho.
Yeah.
So, but we were going to do a freaking swing lesson because I'm trying to, I guess that's where I want to go with this question is like, what separates, say, like an average golfer like me who's like a 16 handicap to someone who's like a 7-8 handicap? Like, I would consider, if you're a 10 or below, I think you're a good golfer.
For sure.
If you're like 11 to 18, you're probably an average golfer, right? I mean, even 11, 12 is still a pretty good stick.
I think the national average handicap for men is like 20.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Bro.
So if you're like a 15, you're actually, in the upper percentile. So there you go.
No, the lowest I got was like a 15.1 or 15.2. Like I was putting some good rounds together.
Yeah.
And then it bumped up to, I got it to like a 17, and then I think it's back to a 16. I mean, it just depends. I mean, it's sometimes, that consistency, that's, I guess maybe I'm going to give you a layup here because I think this has probably a lot to do with it, is just the consistency of playing. Because if I would get out like once a week or once every 2 weeks, like I just don't, that's probably not enough playing time, right?
No. And if you're playing once or twice a week or once every other week, if you're not putting in time practicing, it's going to be really hard, especially on your short games with chipping and putting, which I don't know how much you practice your chipping and putting, but
that's what I love to do, because I felt like for me, my scores improved, like my consistency and my scores got better because of my short game. What, like, I would think isn't that the most important part of golf? Because I see guys that they'll drive it like 320 and then they 3-putt, and I get a par and they get a par. So it's not necessarily how you win, it's kind of how you get there, right?
For sure. So it's
like the biggest thing would be the practicing and the consistency of just playing most of the time. I mean, how many times do you play? Because you're like a freaking badass golfer, dude.
Well, I don't play as much as I'd like. I'm busy with teaching and working, but I play probably 2 to 3 times a week.
What were you playing before you got into like the career side of golf?
A lot.
Like almost every day.
Yeah.
During the summer months.
Yeah. So when I started playing golf when I was a freshman in high school. I tried out for the golf team, shot mid-50s both rounds. There was a senior on the team at the time that
Mid 50s, like we're talking 9 holes, right?
9 holes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're
Yes,
talking 9 holes.
9 holes. But there was a senior on the team that convinced the coach to keep me around. And, I just worked really hard that summer, got a little better, and just kept working hard.
Yeah.
Practicing, playing a lot.
But that's eventually made the team.
Yeah. So he kept me on the team freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
And then by my sophomore year, I was playing a little varsity. Junior year, I was 1 or 2 on the team. And then senior year, I was number 1.
You were the man.
Yeah.
Leading the show.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done any other competitive golf since high school?
I played college golf, kind of. I went to William Penn University for a year and a half.
That's over in Iowa.
Yeah.
I believe my brother got a wrestling scholarship there.
Okay.
To William Penn.
Yeah, it's a really big athletic school.
Yeah.
So it's a NAIA. There's I think like 2,000 students, and 97% of them are athletes.
And here you are, some young kid from Idaho going all the way to out there. Was that a trip where you're like,
for sure?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I was a small fish in big waters for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, because it was it's a totally different culture.
Yeah.
Than what I've ever been used to. So it took some getting
kind
used
of a
to,
shock to the system.
Yeah, for sure. And then I've never been great in school. So after Christmas break, I guess it'd be my second year at William Penn.
Yeah.
I was dating a girl at the time, and I decided not to go back. So I stayed, which actually worked out great.
Oh, those females, bro.
I know. But the assistant job at Sage opened up like that coming spring. So
yeah.
I kind of fell into that. And so it was good.
So what's the idea of like, is it hard to make a living in golf? Let me back that up. That question's pretty broad. I'm not saying like, I mean, obviously as a PGA professional, that would be badass, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even that's a grind though. But you can make some money there if you have the right support cast that you can constantly play and practice all the time. Mm-hmm. But like you're kind of more in the management side of golf, right? Like the business management side, working as one of the golf pros. Mm-hmm. What's that like?
It's busy.
Busy.
Yeah. So, like a lot of people misinterpret like a PGA golf professional with a professional golfer. And they're two totally different things, as you know. But I spend a lot of time teaching and, spending time with the kids, as you know. Mm-hmm. But it's a grind. Come fall, I'm pretty burnt out.
Yeah.
Ready for winter.
Well, I mean, just think about this. Like for the people that are watching and listening is like, how many times you go to the pro shop and you see the same guy? Like pretty much 9 out of 10 times, you're going to see the same guy. Every time I go in there, I see Tyson.
Yep.
Pretty much every damn time. And if you're not in the pro shop, you're out on the driving range teaching a lesson. You're on the putting green giving lessons. Mm-hmm. And then, so I think, I'm like, man, these guys, dude, when we live in a seasonal area like this, I mean, how many hours a week are you putting in?
12 to 13 hours a day usually.
Monday through Sunday, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then because the days that you have off, you're probably at the course, right? Because you're like, well, I want to play.
Exactly.
I need to like hone my craft and master what I'm doing so I can teach it to people. Mm-hmm. What made you get into the teaching side of stuff?
Well, that just kind of goes along with being a PGA pro.
Yeah.
At first, I wasn't sure if I loved teaching. But the more I do it and the better I get at it and seeing people get better and especially the kids, that's my favorite part.
Yeah. We should talk about that because so let everybody know kind of what you're doing over the. I mean, this has been the last past year. Mm-hmm. Yep. Dude, you've made some epic like moves the last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I was telling you before we started your podcast, I asked if it was scary, like getting it going and launching it. And, because when I started my academy, I was terrified. I was terrified of like what people would think or, and finally I was just like, who cares?
Yeah.
So I just launched it, and honestly, the feedback's been amazing, and it's been way better than I could have ever imagined. So
yeah, that's freaking awesome. So it's Mountain West Academy.
Mountain West Golf Academy.
Mountain West Golf Academy. So I had my kids do it. They were 9 and 8 at the time. And it was phenomenal, man. They were scared at first because like any other kid, there's other kids that come around. And I mean, if you're a parent listening or watching this, I'm sure you understand this. I mean, your kids are kind of like, okay, well, I got to be perfect here. Because like all these other kids around me, they're afraid that those kids are going to be really good and they're going to be embarrassed because they're not. But one thing that I've taught my boys and my daughter is just like the humility that comes with golf. Because like you could be really, really good and it's just golf. Like it's an easy game that's super hard to play, you know? Like you would think, oh, ball, stick, hit ball, find ball, hit ball. You know, it's not like that. There's so much and I think that's why I love it so much is just the psychology behind it and the strategic side of actually playing the course itself. And then all your mechanics and what's going through your, you know, being able to get your heart rate down, being able to, you know, adjust from, you could have like, say, a 7-iron, right? And you can hit that 7-iron 165, or you could actually back that down to like a 145 shot, depending on, right, if you wanted to flight it down in the wind or whatever you needed to do. And so like when I started explaining to my kids, like how like actually challenging golf is and that a lot of people do struggle with it, I felt like that kind of settled them down. And then they've been golfing since they're 3. Yeah. But I've never put them into a structured thing like your academy, you know, because I felt like, okay, I need to wait. And I thought that was a good time frame. Maybe, you know, I think 7, 8, 9, like when they can actually have a little bit of swing speed so they don't get. I just kept a driver in their hand when they were 3, you know, a sawed-off driver. And even to this day, that's like their favorite club, which you probably see that a lot, right?
Yeah,
They're like,
for sure.
They don't want to work on the short game. They just want to like, let me swing this driver as fast as possible. But so that's what I wanted to say though, is with the academy, I thought not only from a golfing standpoint did it help, but just like mentally it helped them because they saw other kids like from 25 yards in, they're thinking, hey, this is going to be easy. I'm going to make a 4 here. But then they top the ball or something, and now they're behind or they hit it into the bunker. And for them to overcome that challenge, I mean, my boys are super competitive, so they'd get pissed off. But then they would see the other kid do the same thing, and they're like, hey.
Yeah. Everyone does
like,
that.
Hey, we're all learning how to do this. You know what I mean? So, I mean, how successful has the academy been? I mean, it seemed like a hit last year, but...
Yeah, it's great. You know, last year was the first time we used the Operation 36 program. The coolest part about it, I think, was the weekly classes. Like, we always start with a game. We always end the class with a game. So it's always based around the kids having fun. And then the instruction goes, we throw it in the middle. And then the 9-hole playing events are, as you saw, were pretty cool. So it's like a formal, kids show up, they have their tee time, they go out. Division 1, they tee off from 25 yards from the center of the green, and their goal is to shoot 36, which, like you said, sounds simple, but then the kids get out there and they realize that, you know, they blade one over the green and they chip it. It's not as easy as they initially think. You know, the coolest part about watching your kids was how competitive they were with each other, which I think is great because it's going to push them to get better at, you know, golf or whatever sports they play. So, you know, the academy's been better than I ever would have imagined.
Really took flight. Well, we didn't have anything like that. And that's why I'm like, dude, I'm going to support Tyson on this because this is anytime that I can see somebody trying to make a difference. And I don't care if they're selling freaking dog shampoo. Like last night I was at a gas station and this Hispanic lady was selling homemade cinnamon bears in Ziploc baggies. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll buy one. How much are they? You know what I mean? Like I just geek out on that. I love that shit. Like when they are trying to better themselves and develop a product and bring it to the marketplace, like I'll support it. And so to see that in a place where I feel, I don't know, a lot of my fellow Idahoans would probably hate on me, but I feel like there's this mentality. It's getting better for sure, but I feel like there's this huge mentality around here thinking like, hey, we're just kind of laid back, like we shouldn't improve. Like they don't like change as much. And I'm talking like just like the city, like the people that run the city and in the counties and stuff. It's like anytime change happens, it freaks people out. And I'm like, well, how the hell are we going to advance? Like in our area, like with the golf thing, there wasn't a golf academy. Like I was taking my kids, like signing them up to go over to Boise to play. It's like, oh, so I got to drive 4 hours because nobody has taken the initiative, and then I start looking at myself like, okay, well, I need to take the initiative. Instead of bitching about it, I need to do something about it. So like when I see somebody who's an expert in their field like you, who are like, hey, we need a golf academy. We need to get these kids going so that we can foster their talents and get them so they're ready to go for high school. And to college, because I mean, you got to think we're at a disadvantage with our seasons already because they're shortened. Whereas if I live down in freaking Florida or California, these little kids are at country clubs golfing every single day.
Well, I mean? even the kids that live in Boise have a massive advantage over our kids. Yeah, just because they're open virtually year round.
Yeah,
so it makes it really tough.
What's the next step for the academy? I mean, we're going into year 2 with it right now, right? So what did you learn from that experience, and like what changes are you looking to implement?
Yeah, so we're going to continue with the Operation 36 program, and just make that better. It was the first year last year, so there were some kinks and there were some things that I didn't love, but I think that's the way it is with anything new. But I've got some cool plans for the future. At some point, I would like to build like an indoor, like teaching studio facility type deal at Sage Lakes is a hope of mine, where it'll have like a simulator bay and then a garage door that opens up. You can hit out into the range, maybe a putting green, so I can get the kids in all winter long and get them practicing and getting better in the winter when usually what are they doing? Playing video games?
Yeah. Or they're playing another sport. They're forced to kind of go into another sport.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's the hard thing. And I see it now even is golf for most kids is kind of like it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
But it's really not like the cool thing, like playing football, playing basketball, playing baseball in front of people is more appealing to the kids. But it's certainly a lot easier for kids to get better and have success and get college scholarships in golf because it's only on them to get better, right? Baseball, I mean, you can get better as an individual, but it still like depends on your team, right? Football, basketball. So that's why I like golf so much is it's a one-man show, right? And however much time you put into your game, that's what you're going to get out of it. So
what's the golf industry doing with? So I know they're addressing time of play. That's been a huge Achilles heel, right? It's like people don't want to spend 4 hours out on the golf course. So I see them doing things like, hey, just go play 9, just go play 9, or changing some of the rules, right? And trying to, which is awesome because I feel like some of those rules are really archaic and they are very complicated.
They are extremely complicated.
And so like for us to figure those out, and a lot of people, it's just like if you get a board game, like let's say you buy a new board game and then you pull out the rules sheet and you're like, hey, I want to figure out how to play this. And then there's just like this notepad of notes of instructions. It's kind of like, oh, damn, do I want to play this? And do I want to teach other people how to play this?
Yeah.
Right? I feel like, not that golf's that way, but I'm just saying that I think, in my opinion, as a fan of the game, I feel like they can shorten that rule book a little bit. And honestly, I mean, where do you learn the rules? There's not I think that's a problem, right? Is like a lot of people, like you said, they don't necessarily watch it because it's like boring for them to watch on TV, right? But they like to play it. So they usually learn the rule from like a PGA event. But those are not happening very often.
Yeah.
Like an unplayable, yes, or, your ball embedding into the ground. You know what I mean? But it's like from fellow golfers, I guess, is where we kind of learn.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, like you got to drop that 2 club lengths because the pros are not going in the water very much. But it's like, Like basketball, like when you have millions of people watching it, they're like, oh, that's a foul. And so like you kind of pick up on the tendencies of the game, where golf, I feel like it doesn't really do that for people.
Yeah. And the problem is most people learn the rules from their buddies that don't really know the rules, you know?
It's like their buddy's interpretation of the rule.
Yeah.
That's 4 clubs, Tyson. Just bring it back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, yeah, the rules are, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you were to sit down and read the rule book, you'll be there for days and days. And then trying to remember.
Because it's like all. 1A, 2A, 3A, 1B, 2B. And it's like you have 16 interpretations of rule number 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Like, so if it's Tuesday, you got to drop it here. If it's Wednesday, exactly. You got to drop it here.
But, you know, you watch tour events and there's always a rules official.
Yeah.
And almost all, like, drops or, you know, unplayables, the tour guys, they always call him the rules official.
Yeah.
And the average golfer doesn't have that rules official out there always, you know.
Well, and it's a game. It's like you call fouls on yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that's why I love the game, man, is like there's a lot of integrity that goes into golf.
For sure.
And like people don't understand. If you're not a golf fan right now, like listen to this, you're probably like, golf is horseshit.
And golf is boring.
Golf is boring. But they freaking love it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you can be the guy that goes and drinks a bunch of beers and just wants to hit balls. That's fine. But I guarantee you that you're thinking about getting on that golf course again because you freaking stripe a ball and you're like, that Tiger Woods does that. I can do that. Mm-hmm. And it keeps you coming back for more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like one-on-one challenge with myself because I was super competitive in high school, you know, played a lot of sports and just always that my career, like everything that I do in my life has some sort of competition obstacle or, you know, that I have to overcome all the time. Mm-hmm. And so golf, I immediately got addicted and I was just pissed that nobody showed it to me when I was younger. I didn't start golf until I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
which is where most people are at. They play the other sports, baseball, basketball, football through high school.
Yeah.
And then when they graduate high school or graduate college, then it's like, now what? Not many of them are playing baseball or football or basketball. Now they're all playing golf. So it's.
How much do you see like just natural athletic ability? Like probably somebody like me where he's just like, okay, he's an athlete, so he can kind of figure this stuff out. Do you feel like they have a better advantage over? Because I've seen some of the best golfers that I've seen like hand to hand, or excuse me, like just like witnessed. Like I'd go to the Albertsons Open over in Boise when I lived there, and like they almost seemed clumsy off the golf course. Like they weren't necessarily like an athlete. Like if you were to put them playing football or basketball, they would almost be a little awkward at it. But for some reason, they were damn good at golfing. Like, what's the difference between that?
You know, I think natural athletic ability is massive. I mean,
massive advantage.
Yeah, there's no question. You look at the guys on tour now, like Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, like these guys are freak athletes. Gary Woodland, a lot of them played other sports in college, you know, and just kind of chose golf after college. But I think it's definitely huge, and having good hand-eye coordination, and it all helps. Yeah.
Do you feel like the body type's changing? Because like you and I are like apples and oranges. I'm a trash can, and you're like this thin speed machine. Yeah. But then you see Bryson DeChambeau come in, and he's kind of changing that narrative. Mm-hmm. But there's some with speed comes what? Like kind of inaccuracies a little bit,
for sure,
or injuries. Yeah. Like I feel like when I see him, like when I've seen him on the range at the Masters, like in VJ Singh's watching him do
driver after driver.
Bro, and he's just like he's ready to step into an octagon, and then he's swinging the club. If I did that, dude, my ribs would end up in the clubhouse.
Yeah, and that's what I worry about him is just being able to, you know, have a decently long career with how much, you know, stress he's putting on his body. And yeah, it's interesting, but he is changing the game. You'll see a lot of college athletes now kind of following his path and bulking up and swinging hard, because distance there's no question it's an advantage. Because if you can hit, you know, a wedge out of the rough versus a 7-iron from the fairway, chances are you're going to hit the wedge closer. So He's definitely changing the game, but if you look at all the guys on tour now, they're all fit.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few that are, overweight and not in the gym. And so the sport's definitely changing for sure.
How much is I would assume flexibility, that's something that I've been trying to work on. I need to be way more religious about stretching and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I've actually I feel like my hips and my back and my shoulders, those are all things to get that more free flowing movement mm-hmm. is super important to improve my game. Mm-hmm. Versus I feel like at first, before when I was ignorant towards the game, I thought I just need equipment. Give me the best equipment. But then when you go test your equipment and you go swing a brand new the Ping 425s or something, and then you go swing a Tour Edge, something like that, or a Ram mm-hmm. Walmart special or mm-hmm. something. No offense out there to those companies, but the innovation behind those products are completely different. But it's funny to me that you can almost, yes, equipment plays the same, but if you don't know how to swing that club correctly and generate enough club head speed, there's not a huge difference where you'd be like, holy shit, that's a $1,300 set versus a $300 set. Mm-hmm. Until you actually, and this was just my experience, what I learned was oh wow, the equipment really does make a huge advantage, but you have to be able to get the performance out of the equipment. It's like a car engine, right? Mm-hmm. It's if you don't know a car, the driver makes the car what it is. Mm-hmm. I believe that.
For sure.
You could line up the same two cars, and then based on the driver, you're going to get different results. And I feel like that is how I look at equipment. It's okay, I want to put money into lessons and working on my short game and going to the driving range, not necessarily hey, I'm going to the golf course to go golf for 4 hours and learn out on the course. Mm-hmm. I'd rather just hit a shitload of, balls on the driving range or just, and just working on your chipping and putting and weird lies and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that, most people, think it's all about the club, which the newer, more expensive equipment definitely does help because mm-hmm. Your off center hits on the Ping G425 is going to react a lot better than your off center hit on your Ram 7 iron, right? Mm-hmm. So the equipment definitely does help, but I think people want to get better, so they watch YouTube videos and they watch, mm-hmm. but in doing that, sometimes their golf swing becomes robotic and mechanical, right? Instead of free flowing. And so when I'm teaching a beginner, the biggest thing that we do is work on just rhythm and making the golf swing so it's a free flowing movement, right? Instead of, okay, I need to get the club here and then here and then, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think if more people would just swing the club freely and then...
a practice swing?
Yeah, exactly.
I see people's practice swings and I'm like, damn, this guy's ready to bring it to me. Yeah. And then he hits it 40 yards off the tee box. I'm like, that was completely opposite of what you just did.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell is that, man?
The difference, that is when most of the time when people are taking their practice swing, they're not thinking about positions and, where their grip is, where they're, so they're just swinging.
They're just picking up a club naturally and just kind of I just got to get loose here. And you're like, hey, that's kind of good form.
Mm-hmm. And then they get over the golf ball and the golf ball does something to our mind that I don't know exactly what it is. But then they start thinking about positions and where do I need to be, and
there's water right there.
Yeah, there's water there, or the out of bounds is left. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I've taught a lot of people where their golf swing on their practice swings is perfect, mm-hmm. right? But translating that from your practice swing to hitting the golf balls, two totally different things, and it's tough. It's really tough.
That's what keeps me coming back.
Mm-hmm.
is that there's times where I stripe the ball and I'm like, holy shit. Because when you stripe the ball, you don't feel the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's how I look at it when I stripe it, is like, you can tell the sweet spot. Whereas it's not toey, it's not hilly, you know. Like, I love those shots, and it doesn't happen. I've noticed as I play more, though, like, I'm getting more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get more of those in my round. You know, I would say probably, I don't know, 70% of the time, though, I'm probably a mishit. Like, I'm not squaring it up perfect, you know. Mm-hmm. But when it happens, it's just like that addictive feeling where you're just like, oh, I did it. Like, all this hard work, like, I finally did it, you know. But the psychology behind golf, for me, is ginormous. And I think it can help a lot of people, honestly. I would love to see, this sounds really weird, but I would love to see a program for like mental illness. You know how you can have like a service dog?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't you have a service sport that insurance pays for? You know what I mean? Yeah. Or there's some sort of funding there, like, you know, whether it's through like the PGA Association or you know, I effing hate the government stuff getting into certain things. But what I'm saying is, like, for me, it has helped me decompress. It's helped me with anxiety. It's helped me with depression. Mm-hmm. Just going out and hitting a bucket of balls. Like, these are all things that we can do. And I'm outside. So I'm getting vitamin D. There's strangers everywhere. And chances are, if you go book a tee time, like, you're going to get partnered up. It's like, I hate it at first. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just like, gosh, I just want to go golf by myself. But it's like, I understand we got to keep the management of the course going. And then you get there and you're golfing with some stranger. But then you end up having, like, through the course of the round, like, hey, it's friendly. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you get to meet new people, and work on your social skills a little bit. But I would love to see a program where you could take somebody that was suffering from some sort of, you know, mental illness, and then you could take them and they would get it paid for by insurance, and you can take them out on the range, you know, and just show them the game. Because I think for me, man, just the mental side of golf. I mean, yeah, it's challenging. You get kind of pissed off, but then it kind of creates this urgency of competitiveness. So, like, if you're depressed, right, it's like it brings out this want to do something instead of just wanting to be at your house on a couch, not being around anybody or get better at anything, you know? Yeah. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be really cool. Why don't you start something?
Why don't I take the initiative and freaking get on it?
Yeah.
No, I'd love to grow this sport, man.
Yeah. You know, but I think one of the biggest, like, stigmas for beginners is they're terrified of what other people are going to think. So, like, if you go out to Sage and we say, Justin, you know, we're going to put you with so-and-so, what's your first thought?
How, like, am I going to miss the golf ball on the opening?
Exactly. Am I going to miss it? Am I going to hit it out of bounds? Am I going to embarrass myself? Right. But more often than not, when you get done playing with someone you don't know, one, you're probably friends with them, unless the guy's a real asshole. Two, you probably feel better about yourself because you realize that not everyone's a scratch golfer. Most people are, you know, out there hitting it all over the place. So if that's, you know, that's one of the big things I try to, like, convince people, because we get it all the time. Hey, can we just play the two of us? And, you know, there's groups of guys that come out and play that never knew each other before. They got paired up one time, and now they're friends and they play every
golf
day.
Buddies and play all the time. Yeah. It's a really cool dynamic, actually, with the golf. I think about something I think bothers a lot of people is they're gonna slow. They're gonna, like, they mishit it, right, and they got to hit it like 6 times before they get on the green. And I wish we could change this, actually, is with they get this, because then people get behind you, right, and then all of a sudden you feel like, oh damn, I need to get going here. I even feel it at times where I'm like, hey dude, I don't have anywhere to go. There's people that just walked off the green, like, and you just hit your drive and I'm getting ready to hit my approach shot, like, I can't go anywhere. But that feeling is kind of embarrassing. It's because it's like, And I could see where people, you know, if they're taking forever to get to the green and then they just feel like, oh, I'm holding everybody up. And they just pick up their ball and there's like, just go ahead. You know, I feel so bad for that. But I think we need to, as like a golf population, like we need to give that respect because you were once there too.
For sure. Everyone starts somewhere.
You know what I mean? Like chill out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't be an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just that type of stuff bothers the hell out of me.
You know, and you're outside. You know, and that's like you mentioned earlier, the time thing. Yeah, 4 hours is a long time to take out of your day. But I mean, most people spend 4 hours of their day on their cell phone or playing video games, right?
That's a good point.
So if you can get outside and, you know, spend time and walk and, you know, get some exercise and
make those friends,
make those new connections, and it's
it's like the super important part of it, really,
for sure.
The I like to compare like business and life with golf a lot. Like when I talk to different clients and if I'm doing any sort of consulting with people, because I feel like in life, it's like this challenge thing that you're doing, the 75 hard. That's what it's called, right? 75 hard.
Yep.
So it's like the trajectory of a golf ball, right? Like the most minute change in like a club face. So for you that are not familiar with golf, so the club face of the club, you want it to be square with the ball, right? So if that's tilted a little bit open, which would be kind of, if you're a right-handed golfer, the toe would be kind of flared out. And if it's closed, then the toe's kind of flared in towards the golf ball. It's not square. But what will happen is if you're hitting say you're hitting a 165-yard shot, what is it called? The dispersion? The dispersion of that golf ball could be off by just from a little tiny angle change on the club face and ball could cause that your target line, I mean, your ball would be off target 15, 20, 30 yards. And I feel like that is a lot of life, is that these tiny little changes that we go through can make a ginormous difference and a ginormous trajectory difference in our life. And so when I think about you doing the 75 hard challenge and like stepping out of your comfort zone, doing the golf academy for the kids, like those little, like they're big things to you, but man, the dispersion of where your life is going and the trajectory that it's taking now is so, so different. And I think that's why we need to pay attention to the little things that you're doing, you know, in your life, in your business. Like the small details will matter, and they'll end up, if they go too far and they go basically unrecognized or this laziness mentality, you know, I think that's how, like, you know, when you get into like when you pigeonhole yourself in life and you get into like this depression, you kind of put yourself into this box, like where the hell am I going type thing. I think it's just because you ignored some of the small things, you know, like, you know, people get tired of me talking about like exercising all the time, but it's like, man, that's a small thing. If you're talking about a 24-hour day and you're talking 45 minutes out of 24 hours, okay, very small, but the trajectory that you will end up on is huge. And if you choose not to do it, you know what I mean? You're going to miss your target and you're going to be freaking way out here versus like being, you know, on the spot. And so it's just something that I like to compare because I feel like there's these little tiny things like the short game in golf, right? I see that as the biggest weakness for anybody. I'm not going to put everybody in that box, but I'm saying the majority of golfers, I see when we get closer to the green, when you're 75 yards and in, you're like, okay, that guy has never worked on that. It's like the guy that's at the gym that has like ginormous upper body and has like Despicable Me legs, like Gru legs. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, come on,
do some squats,
do something, you know? And it just shows. And I think those things in your life, like with your relationships, you know what I mean? Your relationships, your fitness, your mind, you know, are you doing self-development? Are you reading? Are you listening to podcasts? And I'm not saying you got to be like this crazy, insane person of like, oh yeah, I'm just going to get better and I'm not good enough. No. I'm saying like I had this conversation last night at dinner with a friend, is like eating a hamburger, I'll take off one of the buns. So I'll usually keep the bottom bun on, hamburger, stack it up full of shit, eat it with a fork. Mm-hmm. And it's just like that one bun to me just signifies, one, that I can do it. It's kind of discipline. Mm-hmm. And then I'm getting out those 220 calories, the sodium, all the shit, right?
Yeah.
Very small, but over the course of me doing that for years, that's going to add up.
It adds up. Yeah. It's the same with golf as in life. Is a lot of people think you have to be perfect. So to lose weight, you have to have the perfect diet. You have to have the perfect, workout routine. Same with golf. I mean, no one hits every shot perfect, right? Mm-hmm. But if you can just get a little bit better every day and do the little things every day, like, take off the bun, mm-hmm. or drink more water, and you do those things daily over a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, and pretty soon, like, you're in a totally different place than you were, a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really not that hard. Just do those little things, like, if you don't work out at all, just start with walking outside for 10 minutes. And mm-hmm. then, bump that up to 30. And then maybe get a gym membership and go run on the treadmill, right?
Right.
So it's just, it doesn't have to be extravagant, your golf game or your life, right? Just do the little things every day. Like,
And it almost comes naturally.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
hey, pull this just a little bit closer to you.
Okay, and you get used to doing those small things, and those small things become easy.
Yep.
And then pretty soon you're doing more small things, and it just adds up.
And I think it prepares you too, like for when a circumstance arises. Like let's say you're faced with some sort of obstacle in your life, and this is a big reason why I spend my time doing a podcast. When it, what I mean, is like to let people understand that the things that we talk about with the guests and the things that we share, it's to help other people understand that, hey, we're kind of all in this together, and hopefully they can take some valuable nuggets out of it and they can apply it to their own life, right? Mm-hmm. What, it's not right or wrong. It's being open-minded more so than anything. Mm-hmm. But what I've noticed is like, I learn so much from anybody that I come in encounter with and that I can have a decent conversation with. I try, like, it's like, if I was reading a book, like I suck at like remembering things, mm-hmm. but I'll remember like 2 or 3 little nuggets. And to me, mm-hmm. if I can apply those into my life, that's how I better myself. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think about when I'm golfing and shots that I've practiced, like when that happens, like I get deep down into a rough, right? Or I'm just on a light rough, and I understand from experience of doing this and working on it. Like I know there's certain outcomes here. I could get a flyer, you know what I mean? The ball's going to go left because it's going to close my club face. And that allows me to execute that same shot better than the guy that I'm playing against because I put in the work. Mm-hmm. And that applies to life the exact same way. Mm-hmm. Your self-development, your physical, mental, your finances, all that shit. Like just those little tiny things, man. Mm-hmm. So like David Goggins talks about this all the time, dude. I'm a huge
David Goggins, yeah.
That dude's a freaking beast, right? He talks about this shit all the time where it's like he's preparing. He doesn't need to do this, but he's preparing himself for life. Mm-hmm. So like, because life is rough on all of us. Like a lot of people think, well, this guy has it harder. Yeah, there is some circumstances there. There's some arguments to be made. But the fact is like majority of things that happen in life to people happen to pretty much everybody.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. It's like, and he's callousing his mind, which I freaking love. And he's like, I'm ready to take this on,
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, we can do that. So it's kind of corny, but that's how I look at golf, bro.
I like it,
and I think that's why I really love it. Like this probably, like I'll watch golf more than I'll watch football. Mm-hmm. That's weird. That didn't happen until about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now my kids, like they used to sit down and watch basketball and football with me because that's what I'd watch. Now it's like they won't even come sit with me because I'm watching golf. Yeah. Till like the Masters. I'm like, no, this is serious. This is like the Super Bowl. Like this is intense, right? Mm-hmm. And so I try connecting like certain things to my kids, like with their names, like Justin Thomas, like, hey, that's Dad's first name, and then Thomas is like, my son's middle name. And so they start like, oh, this is kind of cool, you know, and then I try giving them backstories and stuff. Yeah, so I wish, I don't know. It's on the parents, right, to kind of like educate your kids on golf and to make it cool. But as we were talking earlier, it's not like golf is, it's hard for people to watch. Like, I can't watch a baseball game. Mm-hmm. I can't watch an MLB game. Mm-hmm. And somebody's like, but you can watch 8 hours of golf. I'm like, oh yeah, when the Masters is on, I will watch that, and I'll be a hermit until the tournament's over. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bore me. It's just weird, dude.
Mm-hmm. And the Masters is the greatest thing on TV.
What did you think about this year's Masters? I mean, obviously,
it was good.
Hideki Matsuyama is the champion, and he's. I wish I would have. So my money bet was on Daniel Berger. Uh-huh. I thought like he was like 33-1 odds or something like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take that bet because I've seen him shoot low, you know, and I'm like, he's a good ball striker, but dude, he freaking flamed out on me. I don't know what the hell happened.
Did he even make the cut?
I don't think he even made the cut.
Yeah,
that is so weird to me, dude.
It's so hard to bet on the winner, especially at the Masters, you know. But I think what you need to do is look at their track record. Like Hideki, I mean, he has a really, really good track record at the Masters. Mm-hmm. He's a great ball striker. He's a good putter. He's not a great putter, but he's a good putter. You know, my favorite story from the Masters though is Will Zalatoris. Mm-hmm. Did you follow him much?
I mean, because
what a cool story.
Yeah. Way cool story. What made me laugh my ass off is when Adam Sandler freaking shared that. I'm like, I remember Happy Gilmore, dude, and he looks just like his caddy.
Oh, he's identical.
Dude, that is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
But there's a guy or a kid, really, I mean, he's young. He's like 24 years old. I mean, dude, I just appreciate the grind, dude. Mm-hmm. Going, what was he? He was like 2000, like ranked 2000 something in the world. To where he is now, he qualifies for the Masters. Mm-hmm. And for you golf fans out there, or non-golf fans, you have to qualify for this tournament. It's an invite. Yeah. It's an invitation type thing only. So you got to do a lot of cool things in your career to get there. And this kid was able to get there. I don't know if was it a sponsor exception?
No, so you have to be
top 50
top
or something
50 in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a cool story because I think it was U.S. Open last year. He got an exemption because they didn't do like local qualifying or whatever.
Because of COVID?
Yeah. And then, so he finishes like tied for 6th at the U.S. Open and gets an exemption and just keeps playing well and makes his way into the Masters. It's a cool story. And his whole mindset behind it was like, you know, I can't remember what he said. It was something along the lines of, if I'm stupid enough to think that I can play here, then I'm stupid enough to think I can win. So it was cool.
That's a great mindset to have, man.
For sure.
And you could tell he didn't seem rattled to me.
He didn't, no.
Like usually you can tell like on the younger guys' faces.
For sure.
Where they're just kind of like, holy hell, there's a chance. Like I'm playing really well. I think he was wasn't he in the final pairing?
Mm-hmm. No. Xander was.
Oh yeah, Xander and
Hideki. Yeah, poor Xander. Man, he had it going.
Dude, he has a freaking great track record at Augusta.
He does. Yeah, he'll win one day.
Like, I mean, just in all the majors, he's always there.
Yeah.
You want to know who shocked me the most was Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a good track record at the Masters too.
Dude, doesn't he make the cut? He blows it up.
Is he?
I'm like
9 over or something.
What
for
the
2 rounds?
hell? Yeah. What's going on? Like, he's kind of a different personality for me, and this is what I wish the golfers would. I mean, there's just this thing around the sport. I don't know. Like, because there's so much integrity and it's a lot of the honor system, right? And huge ass money for sponsorships. But I feel like the more likable guys, like for instance, like I hate Patrick Reed. Yeah. I can't stand watching him. Mm-hmm. He bothers the hell out of me. Brooks Koepka. Like, I love Brooks, but then I'm starting to like not dig Brooks because I don't like his attitude.
Yeah.
He's kind of like dickish to me, you know?
He does come off that way.
And like sometimes I like that mentality. Like if you're Jordan or Kobe or something like that, then I'm kind of attracted to it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. So he's kind of like, I think Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth are my guys. Yeah. Gary Woodland. Mm-hmm. Like those are my 3 golfers right there that I really, really am rooting for.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of respect of just the talent that's out there, because everybody's so damn good.
So much talent.
It's like, okay, like I'll just root for him. But like if Patrick Reed, like the Masters a couple years ago, I'm just like, I wanted to shut it off. You're ruining the sport for me, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to win.
I know. Well, he's had too many instances where you can't really
questionable.
say he cheated, but it was definitely questionable. Yeah, and golf, as you know, is all about integrity and being honest, and
yeah.
So it's hard to root for a guy like that.
But you think about like just the following, because that's so much of your brand too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jordan Spieth, for example. I mean, like he's likable, very likable, right?
Likeable.
He's nice. He's smiling. He's giving you like honest feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this thing from Max Homa that was like, when Jordan's not talking to his ball in the air, it's either going to go in the hole or it's going to hit the pin.
Yeah. Max Homa's a good one too.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Yeah, I like Max a lot, but he comes on the scene and he's likable. I mean, he just got to win. Where did he win at?
Riviera.
At Riviera, yeah. Which is a gnarly golf course, by the way.
For sure. And it was kind of a hometown. I think he's from there. So it's kind of a cool win for him.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because from the LA. Well, wasn't it the Genesis Open? Which was Riviera, right?
Yeah.
Which Genesis, because that's when Tiger
yeah.
wrecked his vehicle right after that, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Man, that is nuts.
Are you a Tiger fan?
Oh, yeah.
Massive Tiger fan.
Massive Tiger fan. I like when he won the Masters again in 2019.
Yeah.
Like I had tears in my eyes. I was like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't think, because he got me into the sport of golf.
Me too.
Which probably anybody that's in their 20s and 30s,
mm-hmm.
You got to contribute probably most of it to Tiger.
Yeah.
He made it cool. That's the only reason why I would get on the golf course. The only reason. So, I mean, I can't think of more of an icon. Like it sucked. Like what I hate with athletes is, and this is our fault, is that we put them on these pedestals and we're like, we make them gods, which is like super wrong to do. And then when they fail or they become human, they do human shit like
mm-hmm.
all of us, then they get ostracized.
Yeah.
And then what sucks is like from a parent is like my kids see these things and then there's like some sort of event that happens and it's embarrassing for that person. Mm-hmm. It's embarrassing for me as a parent. So I'm trying to teach my kids like, hey, dude, it's okay. These guys make mistakes, man. Like I can't stand LeBron,
mm-hmm.
but my son loves LeBron. And I named my son Jacoby after Kobe Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
So like he is a ginormous Kobe guy. But then LeBron, I mean, he's so they prop him up. The NBA uses him to facilitate the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so like all these young kids think, oh, that's LeBron. You know, like that's who I gotta like. You know, I would prefer he like Steph Curry over LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, two different types of people. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Just their kind of approach to the game,
yeah.
right? But I can't tell my kid like, hey, don't like this guy. But I always say like, don't follow them too closely. Like they're just like you, buddy. They make mistakes. We only get to see a very small sample size, and that's when they're playing games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because my 10-year-old, I had to explain to him like the Black Lives Matter thing, right? So this thing on the NBA was a huge thing, and my son was like, "What? Like I don't understand what's going on." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's so hard to navigate that as a parent.
For
a kid that's just he's freaking obsessed, and you're like, okay, what do I tell this 10-year-old?
Yeah.
Right? Because my perspective is my opinion. It's
mm-hmm.
not truth. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like if he were to talk to you, you would give him your opinion, which is your perspective, which is not truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It's
like
my truth, but it might not be.
It's whatever
truth.
pleases.
Yeah.
It's whatever satisfies me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I feel like that shit is so spread all over social media, right? And media. It's like whatever satisfies you. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
if it
for sure.
makes you feel good, then you'll say that, and then that's the truth. That's where you plant your flag.
Yeah.
It's
and
rough,
we've seen
bro.
that with the COVID thing, and we see that so much that
like the difference between like mask, no mask.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you, I had COVID. I got COVID last month.
Yeah.
Shit's real, bro.
I'm sure.
Like I did well with it. I lost my taste and my smell,
mm-hmm.
but I know buddies. One of my buddies, his dad just passed away from it. You know, like so.
Yeah.
Again, like if you don't understand it, it's like this thing on gayness. Like I didn't understand like being gay and all that stuff. And then I had a family member that was gay, and then you understand, and it's like, oh wait, I have empathy for this person.
Yeah.
Like, you love this person. Like, okay, that's your choice. Like, I still love you. That changed my whole stance on like gay marriage or whatever. I was super anti, and then it was because it didn't affect me. But then it affects you, and then you have a different look at it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's how I look at COVID, is like, if it doesn't affect you and you don't know anybody that it's really devastated, you think that it's some hoax bullshit type thing. But then you get it and you're like, oh.
Or you have a family member pass away, or.
Exactly. Like, oh, it's real. So it's so funny to me. It's like, whatever pleases you, like, if it doesn't affect you, you usually don't give a shit about it. And then you have a different stance. But that's okay. Like, at least that's why I say, don't plant your flag, man. Don't plant your flag into your freaking opinion or what you think is truth. Be willing, like, when new information comes about, change your opinion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Don't be so hard-headed where it's like.
Yeah. The thing that bothers me about COVID is what they're not talking about is, taking better care of yourself and taking vitamin D, and, Zinc. It's all about get a vaccine, wear a mask, do this, do that. But the politicians are not talking about how important exercise is, and vitamin D and zinc and, all those things. They're pushing their narrative of wear a mask, social distance, but the people that are healthy and doing the right things for their body and exercising, like, those people, for the most part, aren't as affected as much. It's people that haven't taken care of themselves. And now all of a sudden there's this virus that they're terrified of. But they weren't terrified a year ago when they were, overweight or unhealthy, right? So, I don't know. I wish they would talk more about just being a healthier, population and taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't.
It's true, man. And it goes back to what we were saying with the whole, David Goggins conversation we're having. Like, that's an obstacle where nobody saw coming, but the people that had been kind of preparing for moments, like, they've went through it better mentally and physically. Yep. Like, that's a fact.
For sure.
I saw this article. I didn't read the entire thing, but it came across one of my news things just recently. I'd have to look it up. I need a young Jamie to pull up the TV for us right now. But it said, like, something like the CDC came out and said that people that have been able to exercise and who were fit and concentrated on that stuff, that they were able to get through COVID way better. And they said that it was the largest contributing factor to somebody getting over COVID. Now, a year and a half later, and people have been saying this, and they've been like getting, it's like you're fat shaming somebody, and it's not even that. It's just like your cardiovascular, you know what I mean? Like, your blood, everything inside of you, like, when that stuff is running smoothly, your body's going to react to things. And that's not the case for I know kids. I mean, I have a buddy who's in great shape, goes to the gym, and it kicked his ass way harder than me. Yep. But I mean, we all have different types of bodies, right? So it's going to affect you a little bit differently, but he got through it. Whereas if he, I was thinking about this, what would it be like if he didn't have that durability built up? You know what I mean? Like,
who knows?
It could take you out. And then I know friends that have had it turns into pneumonia, and it just rocks them. Yeah. And some of those people don't, they don't do any type of exercising or anything, Yeah. What are they taking in their diet? Just because you don't overeat doesn't mean you're necessarily healthy, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, what are your vitamins? And they said, I mean, that's a huge contributing factor, that vitamin D. Like, in the hospital, like, how many of those people are
deficient?
Yeah. And especially the guys that are like all of our darker skinned brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? Because they don't, like, the way that the pigment in the skin, they don't get the vitamin D.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm I'm a freak. I turn into a lobster, bro, when I'm in the sun.
So do I.
So I'm just like, I try to like wear like tons of sunscreen or, whatever.
So do you supplement with vitamin D?
I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because like when this all kicked in, I was in the beginning. I think it was like Joe Rogan or I can't remember who was telling me about vitamin D was a serious thing. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. And we're so seasonal here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have like 5 or 6 months where we don't get a ton of sun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I'm like, well, shit, surely I'm probably in this category of being deficient.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to the health store and bought some straight up vitamin D supplements.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take a multivitamin every day and it has, certain daily values of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody will have to message me or correct me on this if I'm wrong. From my understanding is that your body can only metabolize like whatever your requirement is for you, your body will metabolize that. And then you're essentially just like pissing out the rest.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I've heard.
So.
But I haven't fact checked it.
The daily values on most multivitamins and, whatever the ingredient or whatever is, it says like it's 2,000% of your daily, your daily intake. So,
but there's no way your body's metabolizing 2,000%.
No way.
There's no way, right?
No, I don't.
Because you would discrete that through. I mean, like you would, like your liver and everything like that would filter that out. Like, hey, you don't need this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I think that's why your
digestive
pee
tract
is like bright yellow or greenish color.
Like when you're heavy on vitamins and stuff.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool, bro. So did you bring me a hat? Is that what those are?
I did, yeah. So you can...
Yeah.
I brought some colors. Black, blue, gray, white.
Blue, black, white. Dude, I love white, but I get so dirty.
I know.
I'm going to show the folks this. Dude, before we get out of here, let's talk about... I mean, there's a lot of people, especially in Idaho, that listen to the podcast. Talk to them about... Check that out, folks. Mountain West Golf Academy. Tyson, how do they get signed up? I mean, I went through it. It was an super easy process, like downloading the 3.6 app, right?
Yeah.
Golf 360.
Yeah.
Golf 360.
So unfortunately, I don't have a way to sign up and register online yet. So the best way to do it is our website's mtnwestgolfacademy.com. So that has all of our information for private lessons, Operation 36, our junior programs. So that's probably the best way to get the information.
Yeah.
And then you can, we're on Facebook and Instagram.
Well, there you go. Facebook's a great way.
Yeah.
I think that's
where I post most of my stuff.
So you just go to Mountain West Golf Academy.
Yeah.
Just search that in Facebook and you'll find it.
Yep.
Yeah, guys, go there, like the page, and get connected with that group. I'm on that group. I was just thinking, man, Facebook was so easy to do it.
Yeah,
when's the season kicking in?
Well, the junior program starts June 8th.
June 8th.
Second week in June.
And so
runs through the end of July.
Remind me of the ages for the people that are hey, how young? Because aren't you doing something different with the ages this year?
Yeah. So from 7 to 17 or 18 is the junior academy. And then I have a future 36ers class from 3 to 6 year olds.
Yeah.
So get something for the younger kids. And that's going to be based more on, hand-eye coordination, developing that, and a little bit of golf thrown in there. But it's going to be some exercise and some, games that make your hand-eye coordination better and hitting some balls. And
getting them familiar with holding a club, seeing a ball, understanding what that's doing.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool.
Then,
I think it's a great age.
Yeah, for sure. At least get them interested in it.
Yeah.
I'm launching a ladies program this summer. So it's going to be based similarly around the junior program that your kids were in, but it's a ladies program.
Nice.
So
will they do the 9-hole thing with the yardages and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Have you tried any of the yardages?
No.
You should. Yeah.
No. I just tell my kids come on, damn it.
Exactly. Come on.
Par that ball.
Closer. Yeah. So it's that's cool.
No, I have it's kind of a funny. At first I was like, why is this concept, what's the idea behind the concept? And then it kind of clicked to me. I'm like, oh, okay. Kind of makes sense because it's much harder when you're closer to the hole. You're essentially starting backwards.
Yeah. So for those of you watching or listening, I don't think I explained it very good at the beginning, but so our Operation 36 program, it's got 10 divisions. So all the kids or the ladies, it doesn't matter if they're pure beginners or good players, they all start from 25 yards from the center of the green. And they have to be able to shoot 36 or better to move to Division 2, which is 50 yards. And then Division 3 is 100, 150, 200. And then hopefully eventually get back to the normal tee box yardages. So it's a really good program.
What's the concept behind the yardages? Like, why not just start them from 200?
Yeah, so as we talked about before, the short game is the most important part of the game, being able to chip and putt. And especially when you get the kids out there, like, you know, they don't hit it very far as it is. So and that's the problem with golf and most beginners is they go out there to the golf course, they tee off from, you know, whatever tee box, and they hit it 12 times to get it in the hole. Well, that's not very much fun, right? It's frustrating. So the thought is starting them close, you know, building some confidence early. Making a couple pars is always good for, you know, beginners and kids. And then just working your way back towards where most people just start with.
Yeah.
So I would recommend, like, for beginners, period, or kids, if you take your kids out to play, like, don't have them tee off from the tee box. Like, you don't have to start there. You know, if you take your wife out and she's a beginner, have her start from the 150 post, right? So that way,
to keep them motivated, give them those small wins, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I looked at it.
Because golf's a tough game, and it's so frustrating going out there and trying to hit your driver and you top it and you hit it, you know, 6 or 7 times to get to the green and then you 5-putt. So it's a cool program, and it's a good way to get kids into the game, and it also helps kids that are already good at the game.
Yeah.
So,
well, because I seen the kids that came out, they were like 12, 13, 14. They're like, 25 yards. This is nothing. What is this? And then it like they take like 40. A 5 or 6 or something on it, and they're like, okay,
I got to work on my short game.
Yeah, exactly. So like the improved player, like I looked at it like this. For my kids, they're like, hell yeah, confidence boost right out of the gate.
Yep.
Right, and then because it was manageable for them. Because if I stuck them at the 200-yard thing, now they're like, okay, this isn't manageable for me.
Yeah,
I'm in over my head. You know, and so I like that we kind of started them there. They won. And they got to move back to the next stage, which is the 50 yards. And then, you know, so they get like these victories. And what was cool is you can't move to the 25. You can't move from each stage without shooting 36.
Without passing.
My kid, even now it hurts me that my kids didn't make it to the 75-yard stage. They failed by 1 stroke. Twice.
Yep.
Twice. And a lot of those were on like the last hole.
Yep.
But that's the psychology of golf that we're talking about is like when the pressure's on the line, you have to find a way to get, you know, you have to find a way to succeed, man. And my boys left there crying probably 2 or 3 times. Silent ride home, tears in the eyes. And I'm like,
which
it's
I don't
so
think
hard as a dad.
Necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's you naturally want to come in and rescue them. But it's like, okay, I got to let them sit on this.
Yeah.
Because next time, the first time it happened, the next time is when they passed.
Exactly.
And the drive to the golf course was so much different. That conversation was, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to get a 7 on that hole because that 7 hurt me. If I would have got a 5 instead of a 7, I would have passed by 1. I didn't have that conversation with them. They processed that shit in their head. They came with a different mentality and mindset, you know? Yeah. It's like they're not going to die from golfing, but they're going to learn to dissect things in their brain. They're going to learn that it's tough. You know what I'm saying?
You know, if they fail, just like in life, if you fail, you know, you got to keep going, keep trying.
That's right.
And a lot of people give up.
See, and I was going to talk to you about this too. I mean, I know we're kind of running short on time, so we'll get out of here. But like for those parents and those folks out there that you're kind of nervous to get your kids into something like football, for example, like just the dangerous, you know, footballs. It's coming a long ways, but you're not beating your kid's head in. You know what I mean? I think it's just time as parents that we start thinking a little bit. Sorry, that thing's all goofed up.
There we go.
That we just start thinking a little bit smarter. Like if you would actually, and I'm talking to folks that, they don't know a whole lot about golf. It's a very lucrative sport. So if you're looking like and also there's not a ton of people doing it, not like football. So like if your kid excels at it, it can really take him really far in life. You could pay for a college scholarship. Eventually, you make millions of dollars on the PGA level. And they have small mini tours professionally too, where you still make a 6-figure living and they get to travel the globe. And, there's some cool stuff there.
Yeah.
It's just like I want to encourage people to like get into the Mountain West Golf Academy, let your kids get familiar with stuff. If you're like, okay, well, we've done soccer, we've done t-ball, like give the golf thing a chance. I promise you will enjoy it as a parent. And there's not a bunch. I mean, it's just like if you want to build their mental fortitude. I mean, other sports can do that, yes. You know what I mean? But it's not a team thing. So it's like, hey, my kid excels at that, but the other 8 kids on the team could give a shit if they're here. Their parents just did it because. Yeah. Like golf's different, man. Golf's different. If you just like you said earlier, like you get everything that you put into it, you get out of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it's for me, I use it as a huge teaching tool for my kids.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, it was a lot of fun having your kids in the program.
Yeah, thanks, man, for doing that.
They're fiery. I like it.
So if the snow melts, we need to do
let's do it.
I need to get some golf lessons, man. Yeah. Get some swinging lessons and just kind of like think about like singing. I know it sounds weird, but you have to like in singing, right? You have to find your voice. You can't just like copy somebody else's voice because then it's not as smooth for you. Yeah. And like that's where I'm at. It's like I've done all the YouTube tutorials and I've taught myself a lot of different things, but that's the thing is there's a lot of things in there where I want to know what's my swing. Yeah. I'm not the tall skinny kid, right? So my swing and like what I need to do to get into the slot and to just, maximize my potential. Because that's where I'm at now. I'm like, okay, I'm done spending money on equipment. I'm done watching YouTube videos. It's like, okay, I'm going to invest money now into like professional help to get better so I can see my handicap go down and my scores improve.
And the farther you go down the rabbit hole of YouTube.
Damn, dude. There's 4 ways to describe like how to set my wrist.
For sure. Yeah. And that's why, not like I don't jive with everyone when it comes to helping them with their golf game. Yeah. Because maybe the way I say one thing and then this other instructor says it, like it clicks with this person and it doesn't click with this person. Right. So it's an interesting thing trying to find the words to say or how to explain something to your student that they're like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. Let's do it this way, Yeah. So it's fun. It's never ending. It's a never ending grind. You'll never figure it out, which is great.
Which is cool. Yeah. Because you got to constantly want to be improving. Yeah. And you have to. Yeah. That's life, bro.
For sure.
Golf is life. Like seriously. Those things to me go so many parallels, dude. They go hand in hand. I mean, it's really, really cool. But Tyson Bowen, everybody. Tyson, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. That's going to be loud on the audio. Sorry, folks. Right. Okay, guys, we're going to get out of here. Make sure you follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Pretty easy to find nowadays. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's kind of cool because then we can see the video views, and that helps the podcast actually reach more people that have no idea about it. So thanks, guys. Take care. God bless. Get out there and golf. Join the Mountain West Golf Academy if you live here in the southeastern Idaho area. That is a cool way to support the game and to support Tyson, and I think your kids will really enjoy it. So later, guys. Peace. Tyson.
Right here, buddy. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.